Shalom, shalom. We'll start by giving all praises, glory, and honor to the Lord Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rakakadash. My name is Brother Napak from the Camp Prophets in Babylon, down here in Tempe, Florida. And I want to give double honors to elders and apostles of Great Millstone who teach and rule well. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect and the ones listening in. And I want to get into a quick lesson. All right. And this lesson is going to, basically be on the topic of, how we lose excitement, for this world, the sensation and the things that, Jake, are thrilled about, it no longer excites us. It honestly, vexes our spirits, and now it just feels like everything of this world, all right, is nothing but draining, and that's really because of the spirit the Lord is, putting us into, the Lord is putting us in that spirit to where we see this world as that, so once all hell breaks loose, we have nothing to glory of, here in this place. All right, we have nothing to care for, all right, or to put over the Lord, so you have it where brothers, and I've been supping and fellowship with brothers about this topic as well, and it's every brother, man, it's every brother, everything just feels, it doesn't feel right here, man. You feel like you're just autopilot every day throughout the day. The only time you feel alive is when you're preaching or doing the work of the Lord Yahweh Bashmi Yahushai. The rest of everything else is just like, your body's just doing it. Your body's just doing it to do it because that's what your body knows to do. But you're not, spiritually or mentally in tune with this place. All right. Now this is 1 Corinthians 9 and verse 16, first scripture I wanted to get. It says, for though I preach the gospel, I have nothing to glory of, for necessity is laid upon me. Yeah, woe is unto me if I preach not the gospel. All right. And this is the Apostle Paul speaking. He was saying, though he preached the gospel, he has nothing to glory of. There's nothing to glory of, man. All right. Here in this place. All right. Or even of ourselves, or even boasting of ourselves in the truth. We're still, just men trying to make it. All right. Men trying to, serve the Lord to the best of their ability to be, put on the chariot, and that's our ultimate goal. And that's where our thought lies, man. Everything else, it's nothing. It's vain. All right. The things of this world, the image of this world, the image we want, people wants to have in this, want to have here, Salakia. The image people want to have here, we look at it as vanity, man. And it doesn't excite us, as it will excite normal people. All right, because we're not normal, man. All right, we're not normal in the way this world is considered normal. All right, we're definitely, the black sheep. All right, and we see everything different. Jake gets excited, for things that we are vexed with. Jake love it. Jake have a sensation for it. There's a build up excitement, for certain things that are vain, man. Whether it be, concerts or partying or going out, all these different things, man. It's only draining to the spirit, and we see that, bro. So every day, brothers, there's a reason you feel numb to this place, bro. Brothers, for brothers that have questions and trying to figure out why everything just, you just feel numb here. You feel like you're just watching your life go by. All right, days are going by fast and quick, and you're just, And the only time you feel alive, the only time, you feel at peace or anything is when you're serving the Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahushai, and everything else just feels like, empty, man. All right? Everything else here just feels empty and draining, and that's because the spirit that the Lord is putting upon us, man. All right? Now, the brothers also, had, a couple precepts I want to bring out, from what the brothers, we were fellowshipping on as well. Ecclesiastes. Ecclesiastes chapter 1 verse 18. It says, "For in much wisdom is much grief, and he that increaseth knowledge increaseth sorrow." So in much wisdom, there's much grief, there's much sadness, sorrow. All right, because you start to realize, how fake this place is, man. So you can't get excited from it. Everything, the social media, all right, these big influencers and celebrities, all these different things, everything here is fake, man. Nothing's original. All right, the food is fake, the air is fake, the people are fake. Everyone's living in the image that they try so hard to create, and they're not being themselves. All right, they're just trying to be whoever the world wants them to be to become a bigger person here. So everything here is fake, bro. And brothers realize that, and it's draining, man. It's draining, so it's draining to the spirit, going throughout your week, going to work, all right, going to the grocery store, or, just living your day-to-day lives, when you're not around brothers or when you're alone, all right, everything here is just draining, and there's nothing here for us, man. There's nothing here for us to glory of or to get excited about, and that's the spirit the Lord is putting upon us. So with that much knowledge and wisdom that brothers are gaining, all right, you got to realize, that it's also going to become, sorrowful. It's also going to become, a lot of grief to come with it. All right? There's going to be a lot of grief that comes with this, man. Times where you may go into, a dark, spot, or a hole in your life, and it may bring you, even more grief or even more vexation, but ultimately you will get out of it. But it's all the Lord, man. The Lord is opening our eyes to see this place for what it really is, to see it raw, to see it originally. All right, for the see through the deceits and the fakeness of this place, man. So that's why you feel so numb here, because you felt that fakeness, you felt the deceit, you seen it. All right, that's why everything you do, people think you're nonchalant. Oh, you don't really care about anything. You're so blunt. You're so because we're prophets, man. We were meant to tell the truth. We were meant to be blunt. We were meant, all right, to not care for this place. All right, Scripture says, "Let go of thy mortal thoughts." Let's get that. Ezra 14 and verse 14, it says, Let go thee from mortal thoughts. Cast away the burdens of men. Put off now the weak nature. All right, so we letting go of those mortal thoughts, those emotions, all right, that care for this place. All right, we put those things away because it's weak. All right, that is weak, man. All right, we put off that weak nature of men, that emotional, and you get excited for things of this world, about your image, about how you look. Those things are mortal thoughts, and that's a weak nature, man. That's a feminine nature. That's what women do, They care about those things, all right? Their mind is settled upon those things, and our minds are settled upon the Lord Yahweh Shem Yahushai and getting out of here, man. It says, and set aside the thoughts that are most heavy unto thee, and haste thee to flee from these times. All right, so you set aside those thoughts that are most heavy unto you. those thoughts that burdens your mind and your spirit, all right? Set those thoughts aside and give it to the Lord and cast your burden upon the Lord, all right? And just continue to serve him, man. So when you brothers, you have questions on how you feeling, all right, and why you feel this way, or why you feel so numb, or why this day's going by so fast, and you just watching your life just go by. It's like you're not even inside your body. You're just watching yourself do all these different things, and life is moving so fast, and time is moving fast. It's because of the Lord, man. All right, it's ultimately because of the Lord, and the Lord's doing that. The Lord said, "I'll speed up the times for my elect's sake." All right, for if he didn't, no one would be saved. So these days are going by fast. These days are speeding up. All right, the Lord is speeding time up. All right, so ultimately we can get through this place, man. All right, and be saved, by the Lord Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, man. So you gotta get through. The scripture says, "Prepare thy soul for temptation," man. All right, prepare your soul for temptation. Because there's going to be times where you're going to catch hell, or you're going to feel some type of way, or you're going to go through certain things, man. But you got to prepare your soul and your spirit for that. We understood that. First coming into this thing, we got to understand that there's going to be days that's going to be horrible, times that's going to be horrible for us, man. This is Ecclesiastes chapter 7 and verse 2. It says, "It is better to go in the house of mourning than to go to the house of feasting. For that is the end of all men, and the living will lay it to his heart." So it's better to go into the house of mourning. All right? So that's why the Lord put the spirit on you, to feel numb to this place. To be ready to get out of here, to hate this place, to see it for all the fakeness, man, and the deceits. All right? Because it's going to put you in that house of mourning. It's going to put you in that state of, begging the Lord, pleading the Lord to get you out of here so you can feel again. All right? Once we go into the kingdom, once we gain our salvation, we can actually feel true happiness. It says, "For that is the end of all men." All right? So it says, "Then the house of feasting, for that is the end of all men, and living will lay it to his heart." And the living will lay it to his heart. So, that state of feasting and partying and being, of this world, that's the end of all men. When Noah built that ark, they was feasting. They was giving into marriage. And that was the end of them. They didn't listen. They didn't, come to the Lord. All right? They loved it here, But we don't. And that's why we seek out the Lord that much more. Okay? It says, "Sorrow is better than laughter. For by sadness of the countenance, the heart is made better." All right? So sorrow is a lot better than laughter, man. Because of that. That's that sorrowful spirit, all right, and the sadness of the countenance. Your heart, your mind is made better. You gain wisdom. You gain that spirit of not wanting to be here and seek out the Lord more and search out the Lord, all right, because you now feel that sorrow, all right. You now feel that hurt, and that hurt is what builds you up in the spirit. And to finish it off right here, it says, "The heart of the wise is in the house of mourning, but the heart of the fool is in the house of mirth." All right. So the wise are in the house of mourning, in the state of mourning, in the state of crying out unto the Lord Yahweh Shai. All right. So hey, man, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying to the hopeful elect. Got to get back into the plantation, man. And I want to give all praises, glory, and honor to the Lord Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai Bahashem Kakadash.